Long journeys of unknown duration tend to bring the worst out in people. Would you agree? I see signs of this each day in myself as I go about my regular activities with the constant background stress of COVID-19. I have less patience, a shorter attention span, and these days, a growing temptation to kind of slack off on the following of the program of good advice from our health officials. Is it really necessary to wear my mask when I meet with my friends? There's so few cases in our area. The Israelites in our Bible reading today also had trouble sticking with the program. They missed their lamb stew. They missed their familiar beds and their daily routines. Just a few short days ago, they had rejoiced in their liberation from the Egyptian overlords. They had escaped to the desert. But they couldn't stand the uncertainty of the journey. When will the next oasis appear so I can stock up on water? Or do I have time to hang my laundry out to dry before we have to break camp? But most especially, when will this journey end? I am so tired of the uncertainty. Some went so far as to say they missed the old days of enslavement to the Egyptians. At least then they knew they'd get their lamb stew. This fall, with ever-changing government regulations and rising numbers of infections, we also are yearning for more stability, more certainty. None of us really knows when life will return to a semblance of normal. On the other hand, so many basic flaws in the fabric of our society have surfaced that while there are some that are crying out for their lamb stew, there are others who will not tolerate a return to former days. There was too much inequity, too much racism, too little consideration for the poorest and the weakest, too much competition, too little collaboration, not enough kindness. Today we enter the second part of our 5-part series on overcoming despair in times of trouble. We do this in the context of the current health crisis that is COVID-19, but also with the backdrop of our long-standing climate crisis, a crisis that has gone on for so long that many are beginning to despair. It's called climate grief. For a crisis that science tells us is man-made, how is it that we have become so estranged from the planet that feeds and clothes and shelters us? Are we so disconnected from it that we cannot see we were putting our very survival in jeopardy by our actions? Do you, as I, feel a growing impatience with our lack of progress in this crisis? We have gotten so used to the lamb stew that is called unsustainable growth that we continue to wander in this desert of our own making. The ancient Israelites cried out in their despair as they wandered through the desert, and God responded, sending manna from heaven. Not too much, but just enough to meet their daily needs. There was no excess, no hoarding. The people learned to use only what they needed. A balance was established between what the people needed and what they consumed. There is wisdom here for us today. All of our natural world continues to teach us this basic rule of sustainability. Like a well-functioning human body, all of life is interdependent. Take, for example, our apple orchards that are right now preparing to offer us the fruits of their summer labor. The apple tree says, "I love being an apple tree. Every year, I work hard to bring you beautiful apples for your table. Each spring, I glory in the rich earth that nourishes my roots. And every morning the sun greets me. I feel its warmth all over my body. My leaves begin to sprout. And pretty soon my blossoms appear as if by magic. And if I do say so myself, I am truly a sight to behold. Then, throughout the summer months, the nearby stream quenches my thirst. And the rains refresh me on a hot day. The turning of the leaves makes me check how my apples are doing. And pretty soon, I am ready to give you the best I have. Often, I receive compliments on how tasty and beautiful my fruit is. And of course, I enjoy that. Then, when the last of my apples are picked, I get ready for the rest. Many years ago, I used to love these last preparations for a long winter's night. But these days, I worry. You see, I fear I may not wake up next year. The waters of my stream are full of pollutants. The air I breathe is full of toxins. Every year, the earth that has less and less nutrients for me. And all these changes came about because you humans don't consider all the consequences of your actions. You don't think to ask all of us how we're doing with the newest bug spray or the latest factory built upstream. You don't stop to consider that we apple trees are part of the same interlocking creation that you are and we are, and that we all need each other. Why don't you stop worrying about getting more and more and more? Just stop for a moment. Give thanks for the day that is yours, for the food that comes to you, and for the food you are able to offer other living parts of creation. When we all do our part to protect the creation that we are part of, both human and non-human, then I can go to sleep this winter with a light heart. Parents can rest assured that their grandchildren will have a bright future. Healthcare workers can know their efforts are supported by those who wear masks and follow public health guidelines. Politicians can serve the common good, knowing that their efforts are appreciated. Every human being can feel valued. And then we will all come out of this COVID-19 desert wiser and stronger. Maybe your lamb stew will not be the old one of yesterday, but it will surely be tastier and more nourishing and more sustaining. Amen.